On Thanksgiving Day weekend of 2014, the Icelandic sheep of Round Table Farms were sheared under the direction of farmer Layla B. and sheep shearer Johanna Walker. Today, Yvonne Stoll of the Fiberworks Studio and Gallery will demonstrate the process of transforming the raw fleece into a spinnable fiber. Layla B. of Round Table Farms is on hand to share her knowledge of Icelandic sheep and to witness the transformation of the raw product into a fiber for spinning and weaving.
So I was just interested in them because they've got so many good qualities, and I like things that are multifunctional and not overbred so that they could have to completely rely on human intervention for everything, because I think that's usually going too far. But, and they've got personality. Like, I've really been pleased with having them just because everybody says, oh, these are really different sheep. And not having a whole lot of experience, this is my first round. But yeah, they really do have personality and they're fun, friendly.
Yes, particularly Prince.
Yeah, Prince is great. Oh yeah, after all the warnings that I had over how nasty rams can be, don't turn your back on them, he is a sweetheart. He loves head scratches, get him under the horns. And, yeah, he's a really good ram. So I lucked out there. It was really fun, and I had learned to spin the year before I got sheep, because all of my friends knit, and I wanted to learn something that was an accompanying skill rather than the same skill that they all do. So I had an interest in it for that too. But, yeah, it's awesome to be able to see this whole process go from raw fleece to the spun product. It's just amazing to be able to experience it all from start to finish. So yeah, I'm grateful to be here. It's awesome.
So what we want to do now is, the fleeces are still fairly intact. And before you start washing and taking your fleeces apart to wash, you want to go through and remove as much vegetable matter or animal matter as you can. And you also want to look for what we call second cuts, short little fibers. If you don't get those little short bits out before you start processing the fiber, they're going to be incorporated, and as you're spinning, you get all these little short bits that create lumps and bumps that are not designer lumps and bumps. So as much of that as you can take out before you start the washing and that kind of thing, the better it is for you. So basically, you want to take a look at the top of the fleece first. So we've got them laid out so that you're looking at the right side or the outside of the animal, of the fleece. And just take a look at, are there anomalies? Are there things that are different? Are there different aspects to the fiber? We've already talked about the fact that here we have hair sheep, and so you'll see you've got a long hair and then you've got this soft downy part. Notice that they both have spots where the fiber is very fine and curly, almost like a BFL lock. Your fleece. If you find you've got an area of fiber that would have a very different use from the rest of it, you want to take that and separate it so that you're not incorporating it into the whole fleece, because this has properties that can be used very differently. Now, Andrea is a felter, for example, and I'm sure she's seeing so many images of what she can do with this lovely crimpy bit versus the more regular characteristics of the fleece. I think there's been a bit of skirting. I think Layla probably did a bit of skirting on this when they were shorn.
No, not at all.
Not at all?
Not
Okay,
at all.
great. So they're really in good shape.
Few little pieces that
Yeah.
dropped off.
But this is what I was talking about second cuts, for example. Any of that kind of thing. Let's just get rid of it on the surface. And then we're going to flip the whole fleece over and take a look at the back, because that's where a lot of the second cuts are.
Okay.
See these little bits right here that are lying on the surface? Those you want to take off, because they're little things like this, and they're going to create a problem for you.
And they're so easy to do when they're.
Oh, I mean, you can see why.
Yeah.
They're, it's not.
It's easier to do it now than it is to do it
Yeah,
later.
exactly. And so you just go through and take out as much of that as you can see. If you have a fleece where you want to keep certain parts separate from the rest, this is the time to do it. So this blue-faced luster.
Should we separate these?
Then this is the time to do that. One of the things we want to be careful of is if there are color patches, like very distinct ones like prints, you don't want to mix that all into the others because Deanna may have a plan for that distinct patch in terms of how she wants to use that. And so whenever you have a fleece that has distinct patches like that, just like also distinct fiber properties like the crimp, it's at this stage you want to make choices about how you want to separate them and process them maybe a little differently depending on. So take a handful like this and lay it in and gently and it will just go down.
It's sinking down for a while.
You can see it sink down. You can see the dirt being removed as it's sinking down. It doesn't take very long. Just if you lift your fiber out and come
The raw fleece is easily cleaned using warm water and a mild detergent. Working in small batches for this demonstration, dirt is quickly released in the water. The raw fleece is gently squeezed, not wrung out, in order to remove the water. Then, lightly pressed between paper towels or an absorbent cloth.
I'm using what are known as combs. And combs come in many different versions. This is what's known as a 2-row comb. Usually we do this with very long fibers. Combing is more for like a Wensleydale that's 8 or 10 inches long, or a Lincoln that's really, really long. They're hard to spin in a lofty format. And so this is actually fairly short to do combings, but we'll go through the process. And what combing does is it aligns the fibers and removes any shorter fibers, because we comb in order to make a worsted yarn. So when you've lashed it on, and you don't fill the combs up to there, because it would just be impossible to try and do that. So then you take these combs, and what you do is you start at the end and you pull out everything that's not lashed on. That doesn't mean that it's going to be wasted, that we're going to throw it out, but it means that it's all the stuff that wouldn't go into the worsted spun. So you see what's left here now. There's lovely long staple fibers, and then you start drawing it off. You see what happens? So if you've worked with commercial combed fibers, combed roving, then this is how it was done, only it was done, of course, on a big machine. And you just draw off until there are no long straight fibers being released anymore. And so that is what you would be spinning. And you would spin a beautiful, strong, very smooth yarn. And so then the next question is, what do you do with that? It's not wasted, but you see how short it is? This could then be hand carded. So you don't want to load it up too much, because otherwise it's just difficult for the fibers to align. But I think most of you do this in terms of carding. And with both combing and carding, and basically all the other things we do as fiber artists, we want to protect our bodies. So when we're carding, it's short catches all the way up. I didn't start at the top and do this, because it will kill your shoulders. And you want to be able to do this for more than one cardful. So it's sort of a rolling motion.
And you're just taking it from one brush to the other.
Yep. But I can now lift that off and spin
This demonstration of the steps needed to transform raw fleece into a workable fiber for spinning was hosted by Yvonne Stoll at the Fiberworks Studio and Gallery in Madeira Park on the Sunshine Coast of British Columbia, and attended by members of the Sunshine Coast Spinners and Weavers Guild.